On a cold Christmas Eve morning, the small town of Brimwood was glowing under a soft winter sun, but for a single father named Elias Turner, the day carried more weight than joy. With his worn-out jacket pulled tight and his old pickup coughing its way down the snowy road, he wondered how he would afford even a simple toy for his son this year. Life had been a constant climb ever since his wife passed, leaving him to raise 8-year-old Noah alone. And yet, no matter how hard things got, Elias still believed the world held pockets of kindness, until that morning when a sudden scream shattered the quiet street and jolted him into action. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and humanity, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Grandpa's book. It truly supports stories like this. As Elias jumped out of his truck, he saw a little girl standing by a lamppost, trembling, her cheeks wet with tears. She wasn't more than 6, bundled in a pink coat with a tiny snowflake scarf. She kept spinning around as if searching for someone who had disappeared into thin air. Elias's heart squeezed. He approached slowly, speaking softly so she wouldn't panic. Her name was Lena, and between sobs she said she had gotten separated from her mother in the bustling Christmas market. Elias could see fear gripping her tiny frame. He knew too well what fear felt like, the kind that made your chest tight and made the world suddenly too big. He promised her that he would not leave her side until she was safe. He wrapped his own scarf around her because she was shivering, and even though his fingers were freezing, he held her little hand and walked with her through the crowded streets, calling her mother's name. For nearly an hour they searched every corner, the candy stalls, the toy tents, the parking area, yet no one recognized her. The market was chaos that day, filled with tourists and shoppers rushing in every direction, making it impossible to know where her mother might have gone. The sun climbed higher, glittering on the snow as Elias lifted Lena into his arms so she could look over the crowd. His back ached, his hands were numb, and he worried Noah was waiting at home alone, but he kept searching. Each step reminded him of what it meant to fight for someone who needed you. Several people noticed the tired mechanic carrying a crying child, and some asked if she was his. He wished she was, not because she belonged to him, but because he could protect her more easily than searching in a frantic holiday crowd. But despite the struggle, he kept going, whispering that she wasn't alone. Finally, as they reached the far end of the marketplace, Lena suddenly pointed toward a tall, decorated archway. Her frozen whisper barely escaped her lips, "Mommy." And there, standing desperately scanning the crowd, was a woman whose face instantly shifted from terror to overwhelming relief the moment she saw her daughter. She sprinted toward them, almost collapsing to her knees as she wrapped Lena into her arms. Tears ran down her cheeks as she held the girl so tightly it looked as if she feared letting go would make her disappear again. Her name was Mara Stanton, dressed in an elegant cream coat, her expression filled with gratitude. She kept asking how she could repay Elias, but he simply shook his head, saying, "A child safe with her mother, that's enough." He didn't stay long. His son was waiting, and he never wanted Noah to feel forgotten on a holiday like this. So he left quietly, stepping back into his old truck and driving away before Mara could even get his full name. Hours passed. The golden afternoon changed to cool winter light. Elias spent the rest of the day repairing a neighbor's broken heater for a small fee, just enough to buy Noah a warm blanket and a second-hand puzzle set. They spent the late afternoon together drawing shapes in the frost on the window and sipping cheap hot chocolate, and though simple, it felt like peace. It wasn't the Christmas Elias dreamed of giving, but it was honest and full of love. But fate had its own plans. As the sun dipped behind the snowy rooftops, a luxury black SUV stopped outside Elias's small home. He stepped out cautiously as the door opened, and there she was, Mara, the same woman from the market, stepping out with her daughter holding a small gift bag. Elias felt confused until she introduced herself fully. Mara Stanton was not just any mother. She was the owner of Stanton Industries, one of the wealthiest business families in the region. She had spent hours tracking him down after market cameras showed the direction he took. She thanked him again, this time with trembling sincerity. She explained how losing her husband years ago had made her terrified of losing anyone else she loved. Elias understood that pain all too well. She handed him an envelope, not with money he didn't want, but with something he desperately needed: a job offer, full-time, stable pay, benefits, a chance to rebuild the life he feared was slipping through his fingers. He felt a lump in his throat, not because of the job alone, but because kindness had come back to him exactly when he needed it most. Lena hugged his leg before leaving, whispering, "Thank you for finding my mommy." As the SUV pulled away, snowflakes drifted down softly, and Elias finally allowed himself to breathe, deeply, happily, because this Christmas Eve had given him something far greater than gifts. It had given him hope. If this story touched your heart even a little, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Grandpa's Book for more stories that remind us there's still goodness in the world. Special request: comment kindness still exists. If you believe the world becomes better when ordinary people choose to care.